Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick and in today's episode we're going to look at the game week 10 deadline decisions. Now most teams will have 3 or 4 flags within their team. There's been a lot of injuries over the cup games in the midweek. So we're going to have a look through some of the options available to people moving forward. We're also going to have a quick look at my future plans, where I want to get my team to. There's a slight change in my thought process. I want to look at some of the options to get me to there. And then finally, my deadline decisions. What am I going to be doing? Any transfers I'm going to make before the final game week deadline. So without further ado, let's get started. So just before we get started, don't forget you can still have time to join the FPL Fanzone League. You can see here the leaders on the board at the moment. You can use the lead code on screen to join, and there is a Premier League shirt of your choice available. You can also get your name engraved on the very first FPL Fanzone trophy. So feel free to join. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave comments in the channel, and let's get started. So just before we reach the game week deadline, these are the top 5 transfers in this week, and I thought we'd just have a quick look at who's moving in and out, what are the choices amongst the other managers that are playing the game. And interestingly, Umbremo is the top player transferred in this week. His price rise again to 7.7 million. I bought him very luckily in game week 6, and obviously his price has continued to rise ever since. A good run of fixtures. Fulham away is a bit of a tough one, but then Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester at home. He's got 8 goals in 10 games so far, 12 bonus points. So really, flying at the moment, and not surprising that everyone's still bringing him in, given the short-term fixtures. Next up is a defender, Aït-Nouri. What we're starting to see now is a bit of a trend of people moving away from the premium defenders. We've also, of course, got Gabriel, one of the highest owned defenders at the moment, who is on a yellow flag due to injury midweek, so we're not sure whether he's going to play or not. So bringing in a cheaper defender, freeing up some of that money to allow people to upgrade their midfield, seems to be an obvious one. And Aït-Nouri, an amazing run of fixtures for Wolves moving forward. He's certainly on my list of someone that I'd look to bring into the team at the moment. But at 4.6 million, 3 goals and 2 assists from a defender. No clean sheet so far, but they have had a tough run of fixtures over the first 9. But you've got Crystal Palace, Southampton, Bournemouth and Everton all in the next 5. You've got to hope that there's some clean sheets come there. And if he continues to score goals and gets assists, there could be a haul in there for a 4.6 million defender. Then we've got Chris Wood. Now this one surprised me a little bit because he's also flagged from midweek. So while it's only a 75% chance of playing, I think he should be okay. He's in a great run of form, 7 goals in the first 9 games, no assists but 14 bonus points. He just seems to be really consistent. But looking at the fixtures coming up, he's got Arsenal and Man City both away in the next 5, plus Newcastle in there as well. It doesn't look like a great run of games. Now, I've already got him in my team and certainly going to keep him, but I certainly wouldn't have been thinking about transferring him given that run of fixtures over the next 5. The next up is Saka and Salah. And as I mentioned, people are now starting to move towards that multiple premiums in their teams. So Saka was obviously transferred out quite a bit when he was injured and he missed that game. People, I think, now trying to get him back in. And looking at the fixtures, Newcastle away, Chelsea away in the next 2. Personally, probably be waiting now until game week 12 to be bringing him back in when the run of fixtures for Arsenal gets a lot better. Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Man United at home, but let's see how they'll look with the new manager coming in. And then Salah, obviously people have been bouncing between Haaland and Salah this season. I had Haaland at the start and he was great, I had Salah at the start and he was great, but Haaland was smashing it. I brought Haaland in and he stopped scoring and Salah continued to be great. The one difference between Salah this year and last year is he's getting significantly more bonus points. I don't know whether that's a change in the bonus point system, but he's baseline bonus points now. 16 bonus points already so far this season, only 9 game weeks in. Last season in entirety only got 25 bonus points. And that just shows a massive difference. So when he scores a goal now, and he's had 6 already this season and 5 assists in 9 games, he's getting bonus points on top of that. So that goal is no longer worth 5 points. It could be worth 7 or 8 points. And that's giving him, with his appearance points as well, he's getting 10 points, double pointers every week. So Moving back to Salah is certainly on my radar, but of course, if you're going to be moving there, unless you've got a couple of free transfers, it's going to cost you a hit. So we'll talk about that a little bit more moving forward. But let me know in the comments below, guys. Is anyone here actually bringing any of these players in or transferring them out? Let me know what you're doing. Here we see the top 5 transfers out this week, and Gabriel, as I mentioned, is yellow flagged. Arteta is notorious at giving us misinformation in terms of whether players are fit or not. He did say it was looking good for Gabriel, which probably means that he's going to be missing this week. But he hadn't trained up until Friday, and I haven't seen any updates to say whether or not he's going to be in or out of the team. Ollie Watkins and Luis Diaz, a bit surprising to see those being in the highest ones transferred out, but I guess people are freeing up funds now. And then with the 2 Tottenham guys, Van der Ven injured earlier in the week, and Solanke started the season really, really well. His underlying numbers were fantastic. But then in the last 5 games, there seems to have been a tweak in the Tottenham system. Solanke's dropped a lot deeper. And I think in the last 4 games, he's had maybe 3 shots in total. Not each game, in total. So people are now losing their patience with Solanke. Tottenham are still scoring goals, but he's just not involved at all. So lots of people have lost their patience and are moving him out of the team. So let's have a look at some of the options that we can do moving forward. So this is my order for captaincy choice for game week 10. Starting off with Salah at home to Brighton. He's got a predicted 8.1 points on the Fantasy Football Hub AI predictor. Next up is Erling Haaland, who's away to Bournemouth. And then you've got Cole Palmer, Saka, Raul Jimenez and Cunha as alternative options outside of the big 2 there if you're deciding to feel a bit brave. But realistically, if you've got Salah, I would go him first and then Haaland second. I don't have Salah in my team, so it looks like Haaland will be my captain for this game week. But let me know, guys, in the comments below, who's going to be your captain this week? Are you going with the big 2? Or are you going to be a differential, which has worked out really well for people in the past couple of weeks? So let me know what you're doing in the comments below. So as I've mentioned in my previous videos, FPL this season has been really tough. It's not about being on the right players at the right time. And the only way that you can really mitigate that, in my opinion, is to have as many of those premiums as possible. So whether it's Salah, Saka, Palmer, Son, who's injured at the moment, or Haaland, how do you get as many of those as possible into your team? Now, people like Trent Alexander-Arnold have been great in terms of getting clean sheets, but you can get clean sheets in that Liverpool defence for nearly 2 million less if you go for someone like Konate. So you can free up that premium defence and the money there. You can take Haaland out of your team, and that allows you to get a really strong midfield. If you have a look at this one here, for example, and this falls within budget, I think I'd have 0.3 million left in the bank. I could have Saka, Salah, Palmer, Maddison and Bremo in my midfield. And then up front, I've got 3 of the most informed strikers in Cunha, Wissa and Raul. There's also, of course, Chris Wood available in there as well. So within those sort of cheaper forward line, you've still got goal-scoring forwards, and some of these have amazing fixtures moving forward. And then my defence, I've actually got options there. We've got Konate, whose Liverpool defence has looked really, really strong this season. We've got Aït-Nouri, who's been scoring goals and getting assists a lot for a defender. And then you've got obviously the cheap options of having Fes in there. But Dalot, Man United, new manager coming in. They've obviously been quite strong defensively, despite not winning many games. They've still got a 4 or 5 clean sheets in the first 9. And then obviously a new manager coming in as well, which I think will only allow Dalot's attacking threat to increase as well. And then I've got Aina, who's Nottingham Forest have looked really good defensively. So there's really good options there for rotation across the different game weeks. And this is where I'm trying to get my team through now. Obviously the big omission is Haaland. And the last time I dropped him out of my team, I went from 200,000 down to nearly 5 million rank. So not having Haaland could be a huge risk. But I think I mitigate that by having Salah, Palmer and Saka as cover, because you can't have all of those 3 and Haaland. So that's my thought process on where I want to get to. To actually get to this team would cost me 28-point hit this week, which of course I'm not going to do. But let's now look at some of the options. I've got 1 free transfer this week. how do I get to this point? So as it stands, currently my team for this week is Pickford in goal, away to Southampton. Hopefully a clean sheet there. I've got Aina, Gabriel and Trent Alexander-Arnold in defence against West Ham, Newcastle and Brighton. Now, with Gabriel, of course, there is a yellow flag there. I'm pretty confident that he's going to play, but the fact that Arteta said that he was looking good does make me slightly concerned that he's not going to play at all. In midfield, I've got Maddison, Palmer, Umbremo and Rodgers. Now, Rodgers could be rotated for Semenyo, but Semenyo is playing Man City at home, so I think that's obviously the tougher fixture, so I've gone with Rodgers away to Tottenham. Neither of them are great fixtures this week, but we'll certainly need to play one of them given the fact that Wood is yellow flagged. And then up front, I've got Haaland away to Bournemouth, Calvert-Lewin away to Southampton, and then Wood at home. Wood at home to West Ham. So overall, looking at the team, really happy with it. Obviously, there's a couple of flags there. On the bench, I've got Flecken away to Fulham, Semenyo at home to Man City. I've got Face away to Ipswich, and then I have Greaves at home to Leicester, who is red flagged, so he is last person on my bench. I've got one free transfer, 1.1 million in the bank, which does give me plenty of options to look at for this team. But overall, if I look at this team, there's three areas of concern. One is the two yellow flags with Gabriel and Wood. I do believe that both of them are going to be okay, but obviously there is an element of doubt there. The other one for me currently is Calvert-Lewin, who has been really in poor form recently. Has not, blanked in the last 3 or 4 games. Now, he does have Southampton away, so I am tempted to just give him one more week in the team, but potentially moving him out as well. So let's look at that 1.1 million, one free transfer. What are my options? So as always, my first option is to just do nothing. Roll the transfer, have 2 free transfers next week, which gives me a lot more options to play around. Next up, I am looking at that defence, and as I mentioned earlier in my plan to start moving towards more premium midfielders, moving Gabriel, who is yellow flagged, or Face, who's red flagged, to Aït-Nouri, who has loads of attacking threat and has some amazing fixtures coming forward over the next 7 or 8 games. So if obviously you move Gabriel, that frees up some more money for me. If I move up from Fes, it does obviously give me more rotation headache and benching headaches moving forward, but then also just means that I could bring him in and sub Gabriel this week and keep him for when Arsenal's fixtures turn in game week 12. So that's my first option there. My second option in terms of transfers is to move Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, this could be Chris Wood if we find out that it's a long-term permanent injury, but right now I think it's just a knock. So therefore, I'm happy to keep Wood even if he's on the bench this week, and then move out Calvert-Lewin to one of 3 forwards. Now, we've got Raul Jimenez, Cunha or Wissa, and each of them here come with their own pros and cons. Now, Raul is the cheapest of the 3 at 5.8 million, so actually frees up another 0.2 million in the bank for me. He's only 10.9% owned, but his XGI is 7.78, so he's really good stats for him at the moment. But then it's the same with Cunha. Cunha is the most expensive of these, and he's 6.6 million, so would actually cost me 0.6 million to move him up, but I've got that money in the bank. He's only 5% owned. He's already got a hatful of goals this season. He's getting a huge amount of bonus points, and at 0.48, his XGI doesn't seem as big as the other 2 here, Wissa and but I just think that run of fixtures coming forward is so many green fixtures in the next 8 games that he could be a great time to jump on and be a real differential on that. And then the last one is Wissa, who had a couple of games out with injury. Is only 4.9% owned, but has a 0.93 XGI, expected goal involvement, and bearing in mind that the games that he has played, he's played against Liverpool, he's scored against Man City, and they've got some good fixtures as well. partnering up with Umbremo as well. They're both scoring goals. I believe that Wissa is on penalties. So again, as another good option there. He's the same price of Calvert-Lewin, so it doesn't free up any money or cost me any money, but certainly his numbers look phenomenal at the moment. Underlying numbers look really, really good, and he is getting the goals. So for me, if I had to choose right now, I'd probably just go Cunha, not because of the numbers, but because of the fixtures moving forward. He's also getting a lot of bonus points if I was to pick of those three. Then the next option is actually to take a hit. I'm seeing a lot of the influencers and the really engaged managers talk about moving from Haaland to Salah, which of course frees up some money. But in order to do that, obviously because they're in different positions, I would have to do 2 transfers. And then I would look at moving out Rodgers up to Salah, which is a huge jump, and then Haaland down to Wissa, which obviously frees up a huge amount of money for me. And overall, as if you look at the numbers, the XGI for Haaland and Rodgers in my team is 1.36. If I did that with Salah and Wissa in my team, it would be 1.7. So actually there's a big difference in terms of the expected goals per game on that as well. So I think it would be an upgrade to do that in my team. But if I took option 1, I could do this for free next week and not have to take the -4. So some thinking points for me on that. At the moment, I'm leaning towards option 1, which is just roll my free transfer. My team doesn't look terrible right now, unless I get some information on Gabriel, Wood, or Calvert-Lewin not playing. In which case I'll pull either option 1 or option 2, and then otherwise I'll wait till next game week, have 2 free transfers, and then probably look at option 4 moving forward. But let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you doing any transfers this week? How many do you have? Who are you looking at bringing in? Maybe I've missed someone. There's something I should be looking at. Let me know in the comments below. So once again, everyone, thank you very, very much for watching FPL Fanzone. If you've managed to get this far into the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button for future updates on when the videos are coming out. It really does help the channel. Leave some comments below what you liked, what you'd like to see in future videos. As I said, I'm building this out for the community, so I'm happy to take on advice on anything that you want to see moving forward. But once again, thanks again for watching FPL Fanzone, and may all of your arrows be green.